Alright, so today what we're going to be learning how to do is how to factor a trinomial that has no GCF and has a number out front of x squared that's not 1. So we've learned how to factor when we have a greatest common factor. What do we do then? Which is, what is the greatest common factor? Yep. And what do you take on the variable?
The smallest exponent.
The smallest exponent. Fantastic. All right, when we're factoring a trinomial, what do we do? So we did yesterday and the day before and the day before that. The tree thing. Okay, so what do we do?
Find the number that multiplies
Multiplies to get C and adds to B. Hallelujah. Somebody remembers. So today we're going to still be doing the same thing. You still find two numbers that multiply to give you C and add to give you B. But we have to take into account that A out front. Is everybody ready? Do you have your learning target written down? Hello? Why are you looking at me? Alright, please turn your paper to landscape, yes. Alright, so when you don't have a GCF, when you can't factor in the normal trinomial method, which is called easy method, you use the star method. If there is an A out front and no GCF, we use the star method. Now, you are going to do the same thing every single time. The first thing you do is ham sandwich. You multiply A times C, so that's what we're going to write in our star. And you're going to draw a star every single time to help you. Then in your star on the bottom, you write B. So whatever B is, you put it on the bottom. On the top part of our star, we write our A. So we can do this in the beginning, before we do anything else. And then we're still going to be finding two numbers that multiply to give us this, add to give us this, and we list our factors on the bottom. Is everybody ready? Ready, Freddy. Alright, so do you see how if I cover up this, it makes a fraction on both sides? That's going to come in handy in a minute. Are we ready? Alright, so step 1. Multiply A times C, then factor. Stop looking at me, Andrew. Then, step 2 is which pair? Pair adds to B. Yep. And our last step, reduce, then parentheses. So we're going to talk about what that looks like by doing one example together on the front, 2 examples on the back, and then you're free to do them without me. Ta-da! Ready? I'm sorry? What is she saying? Alright, example 1 is 3x squared plus 17x plus 10. So what you're going to do every single time is first you look and see if there's a GCF that can go into any of these. Is there a GCF that goes into any of those? Nope. Alright, so move on to the next method. Our next method is the easy method, which means if this equals 1, we see two numbers that multiply together to give us C, add to give us B. Does this equal 1?
No.
Okay, so we should be able to tell me a little faster if 3 equals 1. Ready? Let's try again. Does this equal 1?
No.
Yay! Awesome! So now we move on to the star method. So everybody draw a star. So if there is no GCF, if we cannot do the easy method, you do the star method, which means you start with step 1. What does step 1 say? Alright, what's 3 times 10? 30. Alright, now we can fill in most of the rest of our star. On the bottom, what goes there? Which is 17. On the top, left and right, what goes there? A, which is 3. Alright, now we need to find two numbers that multiply together to give us 30 and add to give us 17. So, if you can't think of those two numbers automatically, you make your number, your factor, your potatoes. You make that. Christine.
So when we write them, does it matter which one we write in which?
Yes. So A times C always goes to the top. B always goes here. And A always goes
No,
here.
I'm talking about the
Your factors? No. It does not matter which side.
Okay.
That's a great question. Yes, ma'am. 15 and 2. And so then we write those on the bottom. It does not matter which side. I could put 2 over here and 15 over here, or vice versa. Is everybody with me? Alright, now the last step says reduce. So we cover this up. Do you see how it's made two fractions? Now, can 3 halves reduce?
No.
So you write it in your parentheses. Go ahead and draw your two parentheses. Remember, we're making binomials. So you go ahead and write 3x plus 2. Is everybody with me? Now, the reason I went ahead and wrote that down is because I cannot reduce that fraction. So I take 3 because it goes on top. It's always out front. And 2, it's on bottom. It comes last. Now, what does 3/15 reduce to? 1/5. So then over here, we just write x plus 5. Now, why did I not write the 1?
Because it's understood.
Yep, and we're done. Nope.
So you don't have the registry?
Ma'am?
You do not. I'm talking about for the second one, you don't have to.
No, because we reduced it.
Oh, okay.
So we reduced that 3/15 to 1/5, and that's what goes in the parentheses.
I think you put 3x to the second and that with the 3 because it's half, or it'd be 3x.
Say it to me again.
I was trying to see if there was a way to get your x to bring it with.
My ex did go with me. See? It's right there.
In both parentheses, would there always be a letter?
Yes, because we have to get x squared. So remember, we're going backwards to FOIL. And when we FOIL this out, we'll end up with this. So you have to have an x in both to get x squared. Is everybody with me? Now, remember the rules about the negatives? If C is positive and B is negative, then both factors are negative. If C is negative, we look at B. That still applies here. And if you've forgotten those rules, I wrote them up there. You can also use your notes. Magic. Turn your paper over. 50 for B. We're going to call this bad boy example 2. And the directions say factor each polynomial. You feel lazy? Me too, babe. Don't worry. Alright, so the first one I want to do is 2x squared plus 19x plus 24. Now we're going to do one more together just to be safe because I want to make sure we're all on the same page and then we all understand the star method. So first, we look for a GCF. Is there a greatest common factor of 2, 19, and 24?
No.
Nope. So then we look for easy method. Is our leading coefficient 1? Alright, so we move on to star method. Everybody draw a star. Now, if you have forgotten already what goes in the star, I will draw you another one right there. And on top is what, Yasmin? What did you say? Take a point. What goes on bottom? Take a point. What goes on top? Take a point. And what goes on the bottoms? Take a point. Alright. Now let's go ahead and fill in our star what we can. What is A times C?
48.
Okay. What's our B?
19.
And what's A?
2.
Say it to me again. Okay. Well, we're about to list those together. So we need two numbers that multiply to give us 48 and add to give us
I was trying to look like 20.
19. Remember, you got the A out front, so it's different. All right, so let's list our factors of 48. What two numbers multiply to get 48?
16
And?
2 and 24.
6 and 4.
7 and 12.
We've all said too much now. Hang on. Mama's not that fast. 8 and 6. All right, now what two add to give us 19? 16 and 3. So we write those on the bottom. I'm going to put 16 over here and 3 over here. Now, which one cannot reduce? 2 and 3. So where do we put it? In the parentheses. We can put it in the front or in the back parentheses. It does not matter. So I'm going to mix it up and write 2x plus 3 right here. Now, what is 2/16 reduced to? 1/8. So I'm going to write x plus 8. Fantastic.
Wait, you said it doesn't have X.
Nope.
That sounds weird.
X does have to be first. Well, it doesn't have to be what we like it to be.
I put 2x plus 3 and x plus
That's fine.
Wait, why did you put 2 x?
Because this didn't reduce, and we need to multiply to get to 2x squared. So remember, we're multiplying back to get up here. So that gives you this. 8 times 3 gives you this. Yep. Alright, you want to try one without me?
Yes.
Alright, B. 3x squared minus 10x plus 8. Now, remember, if C is positive, both factors must match B. What's the sign of B this time?
Negative.
So both factors are going to be?
Negative.
Now, before you can ask me questions, you have to work on it yourself and talk to your group. Alright, I got 24, negative 10, 3, and 3. Now, I need... Huh? Why are you making that face? You just realized that?
I don't know. I just thought
8 months into school. Alright, we need two numbers that multiply to give us 24. They both have to be negative because this guy's negative. So we could do negative 12 and negative 2, but that adds to give us negative 14. We could do negative 8 and negative 3, but that adds to give us negative 11. Negative 6 and negative 4, however, add to give us negative 10, right? So then negative 6, negative 4. Our back fraction doesn't reduce, so then that is 3x minus 4. This reduces to 1/2, so that's x minus 2. Yes, no, maybe.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, no, maybe so.
You added negative 12.
Yes.
Say it to me again. What about it?
Like, how does 3x squared can be like 4?
If you have a GCF. So yes, and I'll show you one that has that. So for this one, we have 4x squared plus 22x plus 10. Now, the first thing that we always look for is what? Greatest common factor. Does this have a greatest common factor? What goes into all of those? 2. Alright, so then factor out of 2. 4x squared divided by 2 is? 22x divided by 2 is?
11x.
And 10 divided by 2 is?
5.
Now, you factor this the same way with the star method. You just ignore that 2 on the outside. So you'll do 2 times 5 and then use 11 on bottom. So we factored out the greatest common factor. When you're writing your answer, you leave it as 2 parentheses, parentheses. Okay? So now use the star method on what's in the middle. Do it without me. I'm timing you. You've got a minute and a half.
What
Not
method?
fair.
What
Yep, a minute and a half.
What method?
What method do we use when we have a leading coefficient? Star method. Also,
just
life
been
isn't
doing.
fair.
Whatever we just been doing.
Why am I going to time you on something that we haven't been doing, child? Alright, a minute 30, go. You can do it, you can do it.
What did we do? 4x? Which one?
You should listen. I feel better now.
That was hot.
Thanks.
Supposed to be sarcastic, but it didn't.
Oh my god.
It sounded serious.
I like boys sometimes.
Is that 11?
I don't like girls.
Okay. 29 seconds.
Hold on, Mrs. I got started.
Do what? Thanks. It was on my nerves. It's going crazy today.
I got
You don't know? You don't know two numbers that multiply to give you 10 and add to give you 11? Are you serious? That's cute.
It's not $6.
Well, 6 and 4 don't multiply to give you 10. You got 5 seconds. You better hurry.
No.
2, 1.
All right.
Just another 30 seconds.
No.
I think I got it. I don't know.
Put your pencils down. Put your pencils down. Hands up, pencils down. Hands up, pencils down. Don't be cheating.
Don't arrest me.
Never mind.
All right. Hands stay in the air. So you should multiply 2 times 5 and get 10. Hands stay in the air. And then you put B on bottom. And then 2 and 2.
I used the first 3.
And then your numbers that multiply together to give you 10, add to give you 11, are 10 and 1. So that's 2x plus 1 and x plus 5. Did anybody get it right?
Yeah.
Give your team a point. Woo!
2 points for us. You got all of us got it correct.
X plus 5 and 2x plus 1. Yep.
I did the wrong one.
Yeah, you'd have to reduce both sides. Yeah.
Can we get our homework now?
What?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
If we have them.
All right, you do have homework. All right, D, as in potato. Hang on a second. All right, so this time we have 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. Now this time C is negative. So if C is negative, what do we do?
Look at
And if B is negative, our
Equation is biggest number is negative.
take a.
She was like, she's wearing green. I was like, she's not wearing pants.
Okay, so your two numbers that multiply together to give you negative 18 are negative 6 and 3, negative 9 and 2, negative 18 and 1.
That is right.
Now, which of those adds to give you negative 3?
I got it right.
So then that becomes 2x plus 3 times x minus 3.
Oh yeah.
Who got it right?
I got it right.
Yeah.
Woo! Give your team a point.
Oh, yeah.
7 points.
All right, Uno Mas, and I'm timing you.
Oh, I should have timed us on that one.
I don't have.
I don't think I do.
Turn your paper sideways. Stop whining at me. All right, 3x squared minus 11x minus 20.
Let me write the pound
A
down.
minute and 30 seconds.
Alright.
I am not waiting on you. Ready? Go.
Is that time?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay.
3 times 20 is... Negative. Hey. Hush up. Stop talking so...
A minute and 9 seconds.
Oh, okay. Alabama needs you to tell me what am I supposed to get 96 but I have to get 11.
Your mom.
Oh, it's supposed to equal B, right? Okay, I need to stop. I tried to do that. I don't know who yelled at on her last night, and she got nice. Hey, let me. I don't let me do it today. What is it, y'all? I don't know.
Oh my god. I'm going.
Oh, I did it. You didn't. You wanted you to. Okay. I don't even know what to do.
25 seconds.
Got it.
Got it.
Yeah. I got it. Okay. Let me say.
15 seconds.
Oh, got it, boy. I
You
got
can
it.
do it. There are other people that are done while y'all are moaning and groaning.
I got it.
I got it. Okay. Oh my.
4, 3, 2, 1. Hands up, pencils down. Hands up, pencils down. Hands up, pencils down, Christine. Hands up, pencils down. Hands up. Juliana, hands up, pencils down.
I was right in
Hands up, pencils down. All right.
Hands down.
Negative 60, negative 11, 3, and 3. So that's negative 15 and 4.
Oh, you.
So then that's 3x plus 4 and x minus 5.
I was writing it down.
Wait.
I got it.
Oh, yeah.
If you got it right, you get a point.
Oh, yeah. I got it.
Sorry. That's okay. It doesn't have to be in the same order.
Okay, I'll see that.
All right. So now I'm going to pass out your homework, and we're going to talk about how to do it, and then we're done for today. You need to work on your homework, not just pack up.
I'm not.
Okay. So on the front, you see that there are problems.
No,
You're going to work these out on a separate piece of paper, and then you are going to turn it over, and you're going to find your factors here. And then after you find your factors, you're going to mark them out, and you're going to write one factor here, and then move on to the next one.
No, you need
So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, because Van wasn't paying attention the first time, let's try it again. You're going to work these out on a separate piece of paper and factor them. You're going to flip it over, and you're going to find your factors. Once you find your factors, you're going to mark them out and then write them in the spaces.
So there's 2 factors.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, then I'm good. I know how to do it.
That was like 2 years ago.